မင်္ဂလာပါရှင် Crayon Art Channel မှာပြန်လည်ကြိုဆိုလိုက်ပါတယ်ဒီနေ့ကတော့ Pre-to Session အကြောင်းလေးပြပြပေးမယ်နော်စင်ကာပူမှာတနေ့ကုန်ပေါ့နော်အချိန်လေးခုခွဲထားတယ်ဝင်ကြေးကတော့ free အနေနဲ့လုပ်တယ်ပွဲလေးအကြောင်းကိုအေးပြပြပေးသွားမှာပါနော်ဒီမှာကတော့ရှင်းပြတဲ့ဆရာတွေကတော့အများကြီးပဲပေါ့နော်session တစ်ခုမှာ group လေးခုခွဲထားတဲ့အဲ့ထဲမှာကိုစိတ်ဝင်စားတဲ့အကြောင်းအရာခေါင်းစဉ်ပေါ်မူတည်ပြီးတော့group ခွဲပြီးတော့ကိုကြိုက်တဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်အောက်မှာလေ့လာလို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ထဲကမှဗီဒီယိုအစအဆုံးတစ်ခုလုပ်ဖြစ်တဲ့ဆရာရဲ့ဗီဒီယိုလေးကိုတင်ပေးသွားပါမယ်တဲ့ဗီဒီယိုကတော့တနိုင်ခွဲရှည်ပါတယ်ဆရာနာမည်ကတော့ဒွန်လိုပါသိချင်နေဆိုရင်အဆုံးထိကြည့်လိုက်ရအောင်နော်
Thank you very much. James is right over there, right? James. And then we have Alice right at the end to the instrument section, right? Okay, so what we're going to do right now is that we're going to start session 2. As you can see, this is really a free play format. That's why we call it Play 2, free play. And you can, well, feel free to join in any of the sessions if you feel that you want to, right? No restrictions, whatever. Okay, except that after 12:30, we're going to break for lunch. We're going to clear this space out. So we do need you to bring your barang-barang along and come in again after lunch if you're joining our afternoon session, right? So do have a good time and feel free to enjoy yourself, ask questions and so on. Okay, now one last thing before we go. We have a new website. We have a new website called sketches.sg. We just launched this in the morning. Do visit the site. Sign up as a member. It's totally free, right? The reason is because we want to formalize it. We want to make sure that we can, communicate more things to you in the future, right? This is sketches.sg, right? So we're going to beef up the contents very, very soon. Okay. And today as well, we have. I think we have some books also. If you have some books that you want to take a look at, we take a book writer here. Limited edition signed copy, right, over there, right, with the case amount, right, so you get it on the station there. Okay, so for those who have come in, welcome, good morning. Please move yourself to the stations that you want to watch or attend the demos and have a good and enjoyable time. Over to you, instructors. Thank you.
So where was I? So today, I stopped here as well. So this is the type of nib that I'm using. And it just comes like this, right? So it just comes like this. The nib is the bend, so I could actually draw thick and thin line all at the same time.
Why did you use the 40 or the 55?
40?
Degree?
No, that's okay. The 45 is
It's a degree of the bend.
Yes.
Right?
So that comes from the sailor, the sailor pen. I find that the ink flow for sailor is not as good as.
So which one is this?
This is a China made, it's brandless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think the angle is similar.
Okay.
But sometimes I found that the sailor one is a little bit too
much.
Too much, yes. And then the feet is actually touching the paper when I tilt down. So I have both actually.
This is less. Okay.
So I have both of the sailor I tried.
Yeah, 40 and 55. Yeah. Okay.
But it's personal preference actually. So I tend to use the cheaper one because this is only like maybe.
I just got it, so I haven't used it that much.
So it's good. So you can try it later.
Okay.
Another question is what kind of paint should we use for our pens?
Yes. So these are the ink. So I use this three. So one of them is called Atramantis Document Black ink. The other one is Nudulus. And my favorite now is actually Platinum Carbon.
Oh, yeah.
So these are the three inks I use. Now I'm actually buying this because this is actually the currently the cheapest. But it is still selling at $30 in one of the shop. I went to Folk Wing, right? Folk Wing is they gave me some discount. No. Nowadays I have to beg them for discount because last time they give me discount, but now I have to beg them because of y'all make this Japan
Price go up.
Price
That
go
is
up.
then,
I've been recommending too much
the other
already.
thing is when we have ink in our pen, we tend to dry up. I mean, over time,
Yes.
very, very fast. Is there any way to prevent that?
Yeah, they place it.
So when it dries up because it's very pigmented. Pigmented means it's very black. So you can actually see that the drawing, right? I love black ink, and black is because it contrasts very well with the paper. So that's a preference. Some artists like Madame TR loves to water down the ink, so it appears a little bit grey, but to her it's easier to the eye. But I love it black. So black like this, very nice, contrasting with the paper.
The ink tend to dry up in the pen.
Yes, yes. If you are not using the pen, try to wash it, empty it, remove the cartridge, remove all the ink, soak it in very mild detergent. Yes, but nowadays it comes. I think if you go straight, right, they have a kind of a pump. You can put the pump into the feed, the barrel, and then you just push the ink out. So make sure you maintain your pen. I have destroyed about 20 pens because of laziness. But this pen stayed with me for almost like maybe 2 years already, and I've been washing it if I'm not using it. So, but of course, that's a motivation for you to kind of like at least draw every day, so allow the ink to flow. So the motivation is not to practice to get better, but to maintain your pen to flow better.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a very good question. Thanks for asking. Is there any other questions? So the reason why I draw people a lot is because if you look at everyone, right, everyone looks different, right? So we will never run out of subject matter, and it's in the morning. They say it's a challenge. So it's always a challenge to capture likeness, capture the action, right? The action of people walking, standing. So everyone has a different way of standing and walking all the time. So those are the motivation that I find myself doing and following wholeheartedly. And but nowadays I don't. No, not I don't. Nowadays I try to not just draw people, but I try to draw people in context with the environment. So it's like telling a story of a place. And because of my comic artist background, right, I like to break up the canvas into different sizes. So different sizes in relation to the size of the people tells different story. When this is like this, when this is drawn like this, it is environment centric, right? Environment centric, and it places a lot more attention on the environment. But the people is there too, to what? To strengthen the context, right? But other than that, what does it serve? The people, drawing people within the environment, what does it do? Humanize the environment. Yes, very good. And what else?
Define
Life, yes, very good. And what else?
Scale?
Scale, very good. Yeah. So the key answer, essential answer, is the scale. So we want to draw people in so that we can give the viewer an idea, like how big the place is, and things like that. So that strengthens the narrative as well, right? Okay. So I love to draw this. It's a much more challenging because you want to tell a story. So it's like movie making. Storytelling always comes with establishing a sense of place, telling people where they are, who are inside, right? And then after that, you move on closer, but still show the full body, show the action as well. And then after that, going to the close-up where you show the face. If you notice, right, you watch a movie, right, it always starts like this. You start with a bigger scene, a wider shot, and then it moves. The camera will move into the character, and then you show the character running or sitting, caffeine, eating, drinking. Then you move closer to the character again to show their expression and things like that. So it gives you more of a full-on way of telling a story of a place, right? Instead of just draw a big drawing of the place and then that's it, right? So it's a good challenge. So what's your motivation in terms of drawing people? What are your motivation?
Wait, is this a question?
Yeah, that's a question for you. So what are your motivation? Can I ask your question?
Yes. Catch the expression. Yeah, capture.
Capture expression, capture a likeness, and what else?
I think people just look, and I feel like there's like things that make the person's face look cool, and like I think there's always like an element to someone's face that makes them stand out, like as a character design, and I always like trying to identify that and figuring out drawing.
Are you a student learning how to draw or doing character?
I have some questions.
Yes,
How do you capture the scene so quickly and sketch so quickly? And the second question is that how does other people feel when you are sketching them? Yeah.
The second question is what?
How do you, other people may know you're sketching them.
Yes.
And some may not like it, or how do you put yourself in an environment where you can sketch comfortably without feeling offensive or
Okay, very good question. I think very importantly, we want to keep a safe distance between the subject matter and yourself. And the safe distance means they do not notice you. We want to be an observer rather than intruding to the personal space. So try to be careful with that. But of course, I encounter times when I draw and then they look out and then they saw me. So, okay, I just look away.
That's not in the playbook.
So like when they saw me, right, I was just like, oh, then okay, I just pretend. I mean, jokes aside, that works very well, all right. But there were times where the person keeps staring at me. So how?
change the subject?
Change the subject matter, yes. So a safe distance means they don't notice you, and you try to not be noticed. We are observer. We are not a performer. We don't draw and after that go and hey, I draw you and things like that. Right? we keep a low profile. So the way I keep a low profile is usually I will I try not to bob my head too much. So try not to show too much enthusiasm. Right? Wow. You know that thing, right? Yeah, the bobbing of head. So that's one of the tips that I share in urban sketches as well. And so what do? I mean, okay, I look fierce. Normally if I don't smile, I look like I want to kill someone, right? So that's how I do it. You position the head in a way that you don't do this, but you can just like this, right? Does it work? Does it make sense?
Yes.
It makes sense, but it's tough.
Sometimes you can do this. Then you move your eye, and of course you don't measure. You don't that.
Asking for trouble.
One, two hits, 3 hits.
And how do you draw so fast?
How do I draw?
Things move, right?
It takes a little bit of practice, and of course, okay, when I draw, that's one of the tips that I show, right? So in order to draw fast, we want to simplify what we see first, and when we want to draw this, we don't. Normally I draw from the head, the hair, and then the eyes, and then the glasses, and the neck, and the shoulder, down. But before I do that, in my head or in my mind, I have a sketch. Okay, in my head. Wait. Sorry. In my head, when I look at the canvas, right, I size up my subject on paper, and then I'll see this overall shape without drawing. But if you're a beginner and you're trying to get used to the process of drawing, it's good to do this very quickly. So if I'm drawing this, so this is a distance, maybe a bit distance away. Spend about 2 or 3 seconds looking at the subject matter. Don't rush into drawing. When you rush into drawing, normally if you spend that 2-3 seconds, right? If the person is going to move, they will move within the 5-second time frame. But if you look, okay, spend a little bit of time, so you see this. You see this. Okay, then you see this. All right. So you start off with this, then you break it up. So you break it up, and break it up even more and more and more. So we need to start off with the bigger shapes, right? And then we break it up into smaller. So this is a step. You can go back and kind of revise on your own time, right? So try not to be overwhelmed with the detail. So once you can kind of like simplify the shapes in this. So this is a shape that you should see in your head. So simplify it first. Right? Simplify it first. And then if you are interested with the head, then you can even break it up into smaller shapes. Get a center line. Right? And then so on and so forth. You can add it in a little bit more. Okay, next is to always find where is your neck. Your neck is, you won't, definitely if you look at everyone, right, you cannot see the neck because the neck and the head is always one entity, right? So see it as a shape together with the head, right? And then once you see the neck, you will also know where the shoulder is, right? Does it make sense? Yes. Okay. So therefore, when you're drawing a person on a go, which means your eyes need to look for the essential elements to help you to draw fast. So most of the time, I see head, neck, shoulder as a shape. So that's this one I mentioned, right, in the notes. See it as a shape, and most of the time we do not. We don't see a separation between the head and the neck. So normally, most people actually draw a head and then draw a neck and then draw a shoulder like this. It gets very separated, right? So the head, neck, and the shoulder relationship is very important in this case. So it helps you to see the entire position itself, right? And at the same time, if you are looking at the shoulder joint, right? They are not always in line in the horizontal position, right? They are always tilted. So in this case, even the head is tilted as well, right? So your eyes are looking out for signs like this, right? Look out for all these signs to help you to see. So in a way, for this session, it's more of I'm letting you. It's more of like look out for the key stuff, right? To help you to observe better. It's not about drawing. Drawing will catch up later. We train up our eyes to see first, right? Remember what we see. And then most of the time, if you draw enough, right, you will notice that everything repeats, right? Just only this part changes. So it's about developing a visual language for yourself, a vocabulary of visual signs that help you to observe better. Right? So in this case, even you notice that the other shoulder is not visible, right, at this angle, so it's being overlapped by the head. So that's very important, because if you do not want to draw out the entire shoulder, then by drawing the overlapping of the head over the shoulder, it gives you the sense of a depth, right, and three-dimensionality, right? Because overlapping is one of the perspective cue that helps you to draw depth, right? Okay, so you'll notice the shoulder, right? There's a tendency for you to, if there's you draw the right. You separate the arm from the shoulder. So this is a common phenomenon from a lot of artists. I should use a black. Wait, it's a very common phenomenon for people to draw like this, because they try to draw the easy part first. But when I draw the shoulder and the arm, I will start off with the overall shape first, then the front, and then from here, I don't care about the, what do you call this? Sleeves. Yeah, I don't care about the sleeves. I look out for the end of the sleeve, right? I look out for the position of the elbow. I draw the arm first, right? By drawing this line. Without drawing all this, right? Your head, right? Can you connect the dot, right? You can connect your dot yourself, right? You don't need to draw this in order to know that the shoulder and the sleeves is there, right? So this is called the Gestalt principle of closure. Our mind close a gap for you. In a way, when we draw like this, right? We make use of this principle, and then we slowly will understand what people is talking about, right? About less, but is more. Yes, all right. Don't draw everything. Okay? So how do I show that it is a armpit? I look at the fold. I look at the fold like this, right? And then a hint of the seam, right? Is that you're actually looking at the seam of the dress, and that's it, right? And then after that, you just kind of like develop everything together. So in a way, when you draw like this, you are capturing the what? What is most important here is the, what is this? Yes, the outline, right? So go back home, draw the outline only. Practice. So this is the first assignment you all should practice. Take any subject, take anyone from life, and only draw this outline. Okay? And keep the proportion as close to the person as possible, right? And then if you are interested, you can shade it black. And when you shade it in black, it's called silhouette. So in a way, we are training our eyes to see the overall shape. And the overall shape gives us the understanding of the subject matter, right? It's the proportion of the shape or outline of the silhouette of your subject that gives you the recognizability, right, of the person, right? Yeah, good. So that's a good observation. So, right, when we are drawing, complete this within 5 seconds. It's a challenge, right? It's a challenge. In the morning, one of the participants said, "I like to draw people because I find it a challenge." So yes, that's a challenge. Draw it within 5 seconds before it starts moving. So draw it like this a lot more than drawing like this in detail. Okay, but most of the time when I'm drawing someone, this person move. But I realized she'll come back like this, and then I'll continue to figure. Okay, wait for this opportunity. If not, wait for another person to come by and borrow the legs. So sometimes this leg doesn't belong to this person, right? So this is always a good.
Mix and match.
Yes. So it's a mix and match.
Mix and match. Okay.
But when you draw enough, you find that everything repeats. A lot of things repeats on its own, right? So yes. Okay. Very challenging question, yes. Well, when I was talking about this, right? Okay, So it's your intention. So what's your intention of the sketch? First, you need to know, okay, is it people-centric or is it environment-centric? So begin with your intention. So what kind of story do I tell? So in this case, I'm telling a story about the people in context with the environment, but the people is actually the key elements in this composition. So therefore, I'm going to put in a lot more detail. I will begin with the people, and then I'll borrow the environment to fill it in so that we can complete the story. In this case, the secret is when I draw this, when the environment is actually not exactly how I see it, right? There's a little bit of shift here and there. Sometimes I pull a tree in, sometimes I pull something in just to fill up the space. So it's not a direct copy of what you see, right? You are just plucking. But don't plug something from Woodlands to bring to Chinatown, right? So the context, right? Because the motivation is behind of I want to draw a story about the Chinatown, what they do, and what you see when you are sitting inside the pavilion and things like that. So that's the intention. So it's a little bit more immersive, right? In this manner of drawing. Right? So of course, when you draw this, it's more people-centric. So the story is about people. But of course, when you want to just draw the environment, right? Just focus on the environment, but we put the people in, right? Just like you say, right? It's the skill. We want to show the relationship, the people and the space. So that gives us a more complete sense of place, right? A sense of place is what we are trying to achieve, right? We do not want to allow our viewer to be detached from our drawing. Make sense, right? So when we are beginning a sketch, we try to have a picture plane in mind, right? So this is a frame that you always see. This frame can expand and reduce, right? One of the ways for students to draw, right? A lot of old artists, or in books, right? They would advise you to take a piece of cardboard, right, and cut out a window. So it serves like the camera that you are holding, right? So, but you can take this with a window and then you just move in and out. So when you move closer to your eye, you get a wider coverage. When you move further away from the eye, you get to focus on just maybe 2%. So that's one of the better way to, right? But nowadays people like to use camera, right? And then if you take out camera and start to zoom in at people, right? They will feel that you are a stalker. Quite offensive. You do not. This camera thing come out is very prominent, right? Because you're trying to take picture of me, and you get scolded more. So if you do a window like this, people will not notice you because they may think that you are crazy. So it's a good way, but always, if you don't have a window, like just imagine, how do I find? So imagine this is a flat surface. This is the XY coordinate. This is a window. Okay, this is what I want to draw. Think about the intention first. I want to draw a group of people like this, and then I'll leave the environment a little bit. So have this, imagine this frame like this, and then a challenge here is do not draw out all the way to the edge of the paper of the sketchbook. Always create a frame, right? And this frame is going to be the proportion, aspect ratio of the frame that you see in front of you. And what's important here is always divide your picture plane like this, or your canvas, into this. So I think some of you may already know. This is a rule of thirds, right? So what's the purpose of this? In photography, in drawing, this is very important. It's a watered down version of the golden ratio, right? 1.618 golden ratio, which divides the space into 60, 30, and 10 in proportion. So what's the purpose? Yes, look more interesting. Because our eyes are drawn, very good. Our eyes are drawn to asymmetry. We do not like symmetry, right? We like things that's a little bit out of whack. So in a way, we're dividing space into thirds. So everything is not symmetrical, right? It's not dead center, right? So for environment artists like you or us, we can place our horizon here. Therefore, we are dividing background and ground asymmetrically, right? So that gives us a visual interest because we are drawn to asymmetry in a sense, okay? So normally, if I'm looking at this picture, if I want to draw this, I start off with I start with looking at the person, and then I'll place it off center. When I place it off center, the group of people here, I have a lot of things to play with, right? The negative spaces, and then in my mind I'm going to size up, right? The intention is people in contact with the environment. So my people must not go too big or too small, right? This is people-centric. So I see the group of people here talking. So you can start with the drawing like this, the chair. And in this drawing, when I finish the people, then I start to put in things in the foreground, right? That creates a diagonal relationship like this, right? That strengthens the depth even more. And then maybe another foreground elements. So anything that is bigger and nearer to the viewer, anything that's bigger in the drawing appears to be nearer to the viewer. So nearer, move further away. That gives a sensory of distance, right? So we want to always give an idea of three-dimensionality and depth and distance, the sense of space in our drawing as much as possible. So that's a challenge in terms of drawing people contacts with the environment. Right? So after that, once I get in the chair, I find elements I can put in, the trees, and then the stairs that forms of the middle ground. And then here is the foreground, right? I leave this space empty, and then finally I'll populate the environment. Right? So it's a step, right? So what is a step? It's a dividing, it's seeing as foreground, middle ground, right? And then background. So we don't get overwhelmed. You can also draw from the background, middle ground, and background. So we are dividing space, right? From me till the lady in white, right, is a foreground, right? Anything that's beyond her, before James group there, right, is in the middle ground, and then James will be the background, and then the window and the buildings is the furthest background that you can put in. Okay, so in your mind you divide space, right? You divide before you start drawing. Okay, you divide it. You see the two-dimensional surface as space rather than a flat canvas. So that's the easiest way to get started, and it helps you to see faster and draw faster as well, to organize your thoughts. Got it?
For your next story, I take it you complete it on the sleep.
Yes, I complete everything in about 1 hour 20 minutes like this. So this one takes about 20, maybe 20 minutes. Then of course this one is faster because it's smaller.
Wait, hold on. You finished the one top left
This one.
in 20 minutes.
20, maybe 10, maybe 5 or 8 minutes. Then I move downstairs, which is about 15 minutes. So I think I started drawing 10:30. I completed this by about maybe 11:30. There's a gap of walking and finding, so I spent about 10 minutes walking around. So that's a challenge, right? That's a challenge. It's on the go, right? Draw people on the go. You have to be fast. You're capturing moments that are spontaneous. You're not staging people. You're not trying to think about too much. You're capturing the essence of the place as much as possible within the quickest amount of time. So for me, there's no time for me to do a nice pencil sketch, and then after that I ink. So the pencil sketch is done in my head, right? The organizing part, but it's not as complicated as you think. It's really like this. I place something first, I draw something first, and then allow the drawing to grow from foreground, middle ground, and background.
So usually, like the way you do it is like there's not as much like planning of like this goes here, and it's more just like this
Not-
is the thing I want to focus on, and I'll grow the drawing from there.
Yes, something like that. Yes.
Like choosing a focal point and then expanding.
It's exactly. So if the people is my focal point, I start from here, right? And then use this as a reference for proportion. So you don't draw the chair big like this. You take this. Oh wait, okay. The chair is nearer to me. It's a little bit bigger. So you use that as an anchor point, right? And then allow your chair the other elements to draw in relation to this. Right? So that's to me is planning. Right? You plan on the go on your feet, right? Like this. And then of course you look at the tree, right? Okay. This is a lousy drawing. So you look at the tree, you want to know how thick the tree is, you take this again, right? Of course you don't use your like you don't do this like but you can and people will be like looking at you like, you want to stay as low profile as possible. So you size up the tree and then compare. Okay, it's about the same size in the draw because it's a bigger tree, right? So this one you size up, but we are not capturing 100% likeness or accuracy. You notice that I take this. My background is actually from another angle. Push it in, things like that. The tree is not so near. I push it, so it helps me with the composition. I just draw it in. Okay. And I also mentioned that a sketch is not a complete or a final or finished illustration, right? If you fail, do it again. You do it again. You do it again. And that's how our brain actually function and works and learn. We learn through failure rather than learning through completing a perfect drawing. I think some of you look like teachers.
Can I ask you something? Remember back in the day when you started, how long will it take you to paint that?
Okay, a very interesting question is when we first started, right? Five of us. Okay, the way we train is very different from the urban sketchers authorities. Okay, Madam TR, Andrew, me, James, right, and some other artists. We only stay in a location not over 20 minutes.
Oh my god, it's like
So that's how we train. Right in the beginning, our ethos, our manifesto, our ethos is we only draw. We need to capture the essence of the place, people, environment, not exceeding 20 minutes. So by 15 minutes we have to finish everything, watercolor, then we move to another angle, another location. Then we do another 15 to 20 minutes. So within about 3 hours we cover about 5 drawings, 4 to 5 drawings, small but not A2 size watercolor painting within 15 minutes. Alright? So do small, quick, and move.
And when you get home, will you finish some or just leave it?
Sometimes I just do some touch up, but I don't. I'll just leave it. Yes.
Okay.
To us,
You're taking pictures,
no,
don't
don't do that.
details. No.
you only take picture with the sketch and the environment to prove that you have finished this drawing within that amount of time. Yes, correct. So
Okay.
that's the only picture that we have.
I have a very fundamental question. I'm a very I know everybody say to get your drawings better, you have to practice, right? But is there any guideline for us to start practicing? What are the good principles to start so that we are? It's like you were saying like when you are drawing sketches and then you have lines to be to show the gesture and things like that to make it look real. Otherwise, we are doing like things like that in the silhouette. How do you find the details and all that? I know it's always practice, right? But we need to be in the right direction to start
this group is very different from morning group.
Expertise.
There is actually I can only answer train your eyes to see. That's the most fundamental, right? Train your eyes to see. For example, I want to look at you. What's the difference between you and her, right? Oh, it's the shape of the jaw. It's the angle of the eyes, right? Angle of the eyebrow. It's the shape of the hair, right? So you need to train your eyes to look for all the essential elements, and then when you are practicing, try to emulate what you see on paper, right? So just now when I was drawing one of the participants, right? So I don't draw. I only draw the triangle, and then I start to fill in everything in, right? So, but I will notice the angle of the eyebrow. I will notice how the hair goes out. So fundamentally, the angle, right, that result in the final shape of the person. I'm not too sure whether that answers the question, but that's how I see how we should get started, right? Don't hurry into trying to draw something, right? Try to train your eyes to really look, and how you look, you compare, right? You compare, right? Everyone is different, right? But can you tell the difference? Can you kind of like imagine the difference, right? If your eyelid is like this, then hers is like this. So in your head, draw imaginary line. So when I look at a person, right, I'm not just like, oh, so pretty, right? You know? Okay, I sound very okay. No, just kidding. So when I look at the person, right, I'm drawing. I'm already drawing. Okay, I'm looking at the hair, the head. So I draw imaginary line in my head. Okay, that's how I observe. So I think that helps a lot, right? And then when you are
but to begin, do you suggest take a picture and just that lady and look, or go live and?
Yeah. So any methods is good. So for me, I draw from imagination, right?
Yeah.
I draw from observation, direct observation. I also draw from image as well, right? I do all, and but I like to make a difference now. So drawing from direct observation is quick. The motivation is to capture maybe 80-90% of the likeness, focusing on the action and the gesture, right? Build up a visual vocabulary, visual language for your own, and then use that visual library, when you're drawing from imagination, right? Can I recreate the person in a different manner? When I'm drawing for image, right? What can I do more, right? Don't just copy, right? So what can I do more? So I would exaggerate, I would change the features a little bit or things like that. So you can, for every method is not wrong, but the key thing is drawing from observation, right? Is we are looking at things 3D. Everything is three-dimensional. There's a sense of that, right? So use that as a visual cue to train our eyes to see 3D. But your brain, when you start drawing, your brain is going to flattens everything that you see. Then you start to see XY coordinate, and then you are drawing something then you start to draw, because your paper is 2D, you're not doing a sculpture, right? So you're doing 3D. The overall basic proportion of the shape is more important, but we want to make our two-dimensional surface look three-dimensional. So the important thing about drawing from observation is we have a lot more information coming into our head. That's how we translate it into a two-dimensional drawing, but that looks three-dimensional. So that's a overarching principle that we want to train ourselves to do. Right? Does it make sense?
Yes, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So drawing for image is equally important, but don't make it into a habit. Not like my students. I ask them to draw Chinatown. They take picture, then they start to draw. Go to a cafe and start to draw. When I look at the drawing, I say, "Hey, do you draw from picture?"
Yeah, you can make up?
I can pick it up. Because when you copy from a picture, right, a lot of distortion is created by the lens of the camera, perspective and all that. If they copy exactly, you can tell that it's a photo, right? Even people, too complete, too stiff, because there's a direct copy. So when we are drawing from observation directly, I like to draw spontaneously like this because the messy line, the movement is there. So you are trying to borrow information from the observation to create a drawing that looks like it is it is moving, rather than everything is so static, right? So that's the motivation. Once you have a clear motivation, it's a lot more inspired. You're a lot more inspired to draw, right? It's not just to get better. Of course, you get better, but once you have the basic principle of drawing intact, your drawing process is more enjoyable in a sense. And I'm still enjoying it because it's like, yeah. So that's the reason why I have some principle layout in front of the notes, so you can go back and kind of read on your own.
That is actually a really good tip. Like focusing on people and drawing people in your head, something you can do on the walls and the MRT. Being every day, this will be like more of a square, simple, a triangle.
Correct.
So that is actually, I never thought about doing that, and it's a very practical
Very
tip.
practical, yes. It builds up your visual vocab very fast.
Yeah.
But of course, you don't just stare.
No. And be like,
I take a picture of you staring someone. Then I will see your video in the social media. Okay, can I draw something for you?
yes.
Thank you. So too handsome. Thanks for drawing. I love it.
Why do you like to use color paper, brown paper?
No, this is something that I bought
Like the board,
recently.
yeah.
So it's craft. This is called craft paper.
Okay.
It's the paper that people use to wrap your
Your
char kway teow, right?
yeah.
Right. But for char kway teow, they have a oil film, make it waterproof.
Doesn't go.
Yes. But for drawing, there's a bit of sizing infused into the paper. Not as much as the paper here,
Okay.
right? But there's still some sizing. So if you do wash and maybe some tone, the paper is not so absorbent. So the pigment and the ink and the watercolor will float on the surface a little bit before it dries, so it stays on the surface, right? Without sizing, it goes in, right? It's like newspaper, right? You do some water, just goes in like this. So the color, all the color gets absorbed, and you don't see a vibrancy of the color. Why I like? Because I can, because this is the tone of everyday in daylight. This is a tone, right? Light, mid tone, right? Right. My skin, same color, right? Yes, nothing is white. Easy on your eye, right? Under sunlight, it is not so reflective, and you can add a dark mid tone to strengthen the depth of your drawing, right? Depth, space, sense of space, right? It's very important in our drawing. And then of course I can add small amount of white to show that there are light coming in. So it becomes a lot more versatile as compared to
White.
to the white.
And what do you use for your whites?
A lot. I tried out monotone acrylic ink.
Okay.
I also tried Holbein color pencil,
Okay.
and also General's pastel pencil.
That's nice.
So all three inside. You can't tell, right? So all three, I'm trying just to test out the materials that I have.
Yeah, because some look like more white and other looks more transparent. And
Correct. The
some-
more white is the acrylic
The acrylic
paint
one.
marker, and then the more transparent white is the General's charcoal pencil, white charcoal pencil, and the more white like this is Holbein color pencil,
Okay.
white color pencil.
White.
I think all this you can buy from straights, and but the monotone acrylic ink marker, paint marker is Overjoy, and this book is from Overjoy as well.
Okay.
So every time I recommend something, right, then the next time I go, right, I'll stop. then I regret. That's the.
You should go buy before you come today.
Yeah, I should just buy one stack.
Stack and then.
Then it's to sell you all with a profit, right?
Streets is making a lot of money on us.
No lah. Don't try to earn money from artists. Okay, let me draw something. Who wants to be my victim?
I can.
Okay.
If you want, okay.
You don't need to look at me. You can look at the screen. Yeah. So the normal way of drawing, right? You all can try to squeeze a little bit. So normal way of drawing, you get a pencil or a gray marker, and you start to break it down into, right? But don't hurry into trying to draw as much as trying to draw first. All right. So you just use this opportunity to kind of like get a relationship with the person. So if the person moves like this, you can change again. Right?
So you're using a watercolor?
Yeah, this is a coloring brush pen by Koi, Koi, and it's quite affordable actually. So the normal way to draw it is just to break it up. So complete this stage in within like maybe 5 seconds, right? Just like this. So then after that you can break it up into smaller shape, a little bit more precise. So you notice the angle, right? Okay, one thing that I forgot to mention is when you see a curve, you know the hair, right, is a little round, right? So don't draw round like this, right? Don't draw round, don't copy. What you can do, right, train your eyes to break it up into a number of straights, right? So what's the advantage of this? Is to breaking up into planes, right? Any curved surface is always can be broken up into planes. So once we break up into planes, right, if you see shine a light, right, any surface that faces a light gets a light, right? This one half light, right? This one shadow, right? So that gives you the idea of the three-dimensional form. It's a bit cheap, but then I think this is a broad principle that all of us should understand, and always see the head and the neck as one entity, right? And then after that, see the neck and the shoulder as one entity like this. So draw through, right? Draw through, find the angle, draw through, exaggerate a little bit. So the shoulder joint is here. You notice that the person is a tilted, right? And then you can also tilt the head a little bit. So that gives you the sense of movement in your drawing. Try not to draw everything that's straight, right? Everything all straight, all flat. So once that happens, from the top of the head to the chin, you break it up into half. So that's where your eyes will be, right? Okay, and right slightly above the eye, slightly above, is the eyebrow. Okay, simple, right? So once you get the eyebrow, from the eyebrow to the chin, divide into half. That's your nose already. So get the shape. See the triangle, right? See the triangle, bigger shapes first, then break it up into small. But if you're so far away, right, you just need to kind of like, okay, like this. Okay, simplify. So the whole process is always about simplifying, because we are drawing people on the go, right? We can't afford the time to do big details like a portrait study. And then once you have the nose, chin, break it up into thirds again. The first third is the parting of the lips, right? So where does it go? Look first. Okay, it's right at the center of the eye. Center of the eye. Okay. So once you get the parting, get the shape of the upper eye, upper lip. Okay, it's a triangle. The detail cannot see. Never mind. Use thin lines to suggest that, and then the base of the lower lip, and then a little bit the first third, the last third is the top of the chin. Okay, so that gives you a it's 3D, right? It looks 3D instead of flat. Okay, and more to that. Okay, of course you can draw in the glasses. Right, and then look at the corner of your eyebrow. So there's a little, there's a little notch there. That gives you the front of the forehead here. Okay, and the brow ridge. And then from here, right, you see, based on the position of the ear, you draw a little line that goes down to the side of the chin. Right, but don't draw a hard line. Okay, suggest like this, thin line. So that gives you this portion here, right? This portion here. So if you let me demonstrate. This ear here, you draw a line right to the chin right there. You see my cheekbone. You see this is the jaw. Oh, so that gives you the side plane of the head. So if you want to shade light coming in, you can shade this as a gray. Right? Everything gets a light. Okay, so when we are drawing, you always notice the light and shadow relationship, right? So the way we perceive a line is always about seeing the light, the contrast of the value, right? That gives us the perception of the line. Then we draw an outline, right? So the reason why I want you all to see the head and the neck and the shoulder as one entity, right? Because this establishes the entire gesture of the figure already. We do not want to separate the head from the neck, all right? And also the shoulder. So that's the overall relationship like this. Draw two lines from the side of the head down. You see the little U shape here, and that gives you the collarbone, right? And that gives you the structure of the entire shoulder. Okay, the shoulder, notice the shoulder is always behind the neck, right? Okay, so avoid drawing the head, then the neck like this, and then the shoulder like this. Okay, so this is wrong. Normally, our shoulder is always behind. Okay, and then our head and the neck is always one entity like this. Whether it's side view, if it's side view, like this, right? Chin, neck, and then shoulder behind. Right? Cut it half, get a ear. Right? That's a simplified version. So this is you can draw this with pencil and then fill in the detail later. So break up into shape first, right? So detail later. So relationship, right? So where's the bump? Look at the shoulder. Draw a line down. Measure the angle with the eye. Don't do this, right? Measure like this, or maybe just go sit like this, yeah, like this. Okay. So you just like imagine this. Close one eye, and then draw it down. Then draw through. Okay. Okay, then you are ready to ink. So by now, once your details are there, so when you ink, even with a brush pen, try to get thick and thin line at the same time. So anything that is doesn't have a big contrast of light and shadow, right, or values, use a thinner line. Okay. Anything that has a big contrast, use a thicker and darker line. Right. See the head and the neck as one. Okay, don't draw separately. How to separate the head and the neck is the little fold line that you see, right? And then also, of course, the line that gives you the muscle, right? So one side of the collar is tilted, right? This side is a lot more. Right, so that establishes the tilt. Okay? So this is the fun part, the dress. Always suggest detail. And for the seam, right? Or for the sleeve. So try not to do this. Draw, and then draw something like this. Don't complete the drawing. You don't see the line, don't draw the line. Okay, don't imagine the line. Try to capture the essence by really following what we see. Okay, so separate out the sleeve and separate out the armpit from the shoulder by looking at the fold. Okay, the fold. So how do we see the fold? Is always the shadow or the light, right? So we simplify. We look at the curves. We simplify like this, and then from here we just take a few. Right, the essence is more important.
So you draw the shadow or you draw the light?
Both, vice versa. Right. Sometimes you see the shadow more. Sometimes you see the light more, depending on the color of the fabric. So in this case, the white fabric, right, it's the shadow. It's the shadow that gives you the idea of the fold, or the shape of the fold. Try to speed up a little bit. So when I draw, you compare. Try to compare what kind of line that I use. So this whole group, right? I will just capture the big shapes. Alright? So what is more important is this one. Is the shape of the legs, of the limbs. Everything else inside here, you can just capture the essence, or get the pattern. So the pattern gives you the idea of the form also, right? And also makes the drawing a little bit more fun. Right? Our head is able to decipher what is going on here, right? Without even looking at the detail. Because once you have the limb, so sometimes when you draw a person, right? When I draw, I don't draw all this. I'll go ahead and kind of like get the parting of the sleeve with the arm, and then I go ahead and draw like this. So nothing happening here is okay. Sometimes the person is wearing black like me. Even if you paint, see as a silhouette, you can still know, right, what's going on, right? What's going on. So it doesn't need to be too detailed. So remember, the less is more, right? We want to simplify. We want to also be aware of the amount of time that we have, and then we try to squeeze in the essence as much as possible within the shortest amount of time. but not in a hurried manner. So I can paint right the hair. So usually the head is three-dimensional. So that's the shape of the head. Right, it's a little bit broader at the back, at the side, but thinner at the front. But it's made out of a three-side one, like a cube. Just that it's a lot more rounded surface. Right, so this band here, sometimes it catches, if light coming in, right, or light coming in here, it catches the light. It gives you the sense of highlight. So sometimes I'll add in this circle here. So this circle, right, represents that turn, the turn of the plane. And when I paint, I leave some light. I leave some light like this, and not paint everything black. So at least this light gives you the idea that this head is three-dimensional. Right? Okay, then that's it. Right?
So when did you use your other pen?
Take a picture together.
When do you use your other pen? For what?
Oh, I use this pen all the time.
For
For demonstrations today, I use this pen.
okay.
So wait.
Okay, let me draw something with this pen.
Sure.
Okay.
One thing I did notice though, in your sketchbooks, most of the figure drawings you do don't have like the gray marker under it.
No.
So I'm assuming you use pencil instead.
No, I don't use. I do not.
Just go for it.
I don't have anything. Whatever that I demonstrate here, I don't do.
So you only do the black line.
Yes.
With the pen that he's using
Like
now.
this one is very clear.
So this is a normal way of drawing.
It's just that if you practice for long enough, you too
This is
can
the-
achieve losses.
Yeah, this is an abnormal way of drawing.
That is only the pen.
Okay, let me draw something abnormal, right, for you.
Oh yay!
Probably another person. Okay, I draw the crowd. It's a very nice crowd. So it's a little bit tiny. So when you draw things like this, right, it's draw relative to the size, right? Okay, so it's this big, right? So draw relative to the size, like this. Okay, not big, not too small. Okay, same, around the same.
So is there a focus for you when you look at a crowd there?
And for a crowd like this, the whole crowd is actually the focus. So my intention, okay, let's draw the entire crowd, right? And I'll begin with someone that's most prominent, which is the lady in blue. So I try to capture her. So in this case, get the shape, simplify. Don't go for all the individual strand. She moved, right? No worry. Continue. Okay, then use that as an anchor point. Draw the next person.
The one with the red.
Yes. So for a few-day pen like this, I can paint. Okay, all the shapes are very good. So it's a good practice to draw a crowd like this, because you will start to notice the difference in the proportion and the shape and every individual characteristics of it.
So what it is, the red holes in her shirt. Did you actually put them down?
Yes, I go ahead and do it, but I simplify into the big 1, 2, and 3 like this.
So
3
what do
lines.
you do, sorry, if they're moving as you draw, they move away.
So it moves away, you just let it go like this, or you adopt the next position into your sketch.
I see.
Yeah. So then the next one would be the guy in blue, which is a little bit taller but smaller, right?
Oh,
And he's moving all over.
see you at that.
But when you move, right, the essence is still there. So that's the thing, right? When you see the head and the neck is one.
No, he's gone.
It's gone. So how?
I said we go
I look for another. It always happens like this. It's always whenever I start drawing someone, it moves it. So I look for the next guy,
the black and white has taken his place.
the one with the black, right? I get a shape here. I finish it, so I can move on already. So then I will draw the person in the stripe, as someone behind or in front. So looking at the shape first, right? How the shoulder is actually slanted on this side, and this side is much higher. For a small figure like this, I can quickly use the stripes to suggest the form. Okay. Alright, so 3-4 already,
Yeah.
right? Then probably I'll borrow another one.
And now somebody in your frame, so.
No.
Give you more challenge.
Oh.
Okay. Then the lady in ponytail is a new arrival, right? I can put it here, right? I can put it at the side. So it moves, right? So I'll go to the next one.
So it's a very fluid process because you see the crowd, but the crowd is moving, so you adapt your scene according to what is happening.
Yes, that's a very good way of saying it.
Yeah, it's a very fluid.
Yeah, no one is going to bring your sketch and hey.
Yeah, that guy isn't standing where he was 5 seconds ago. How dare you?
And then when you're the last people, that one leaves. You're like, oh.
It's okay, you can just draw a fictional person there instead. Just pick Johnny Depp.
Yes, kind of. Yes, exactly.
As long as there's a crowd and it looks decently similar to what you saw, I think it's enough.
Yes. So now is the time for you to kind of like put in some ideas of what's happening. Is it right? Okay. And then whatever that's happening behind, there's no need to draw in detail. So now the foreground has a person right here. I'm going to borrow her to put in slightly much bigger. Yes, the one that closer to us. So in a way, we are looking at layer. But in this drawing, it's more like a one layer first. So I can paint it black. I'm going to not waste my $20 ink on this black. So
I'm not with $20 in Crayon later.
okay, and then the chair here.
Thinking of the model also, very small, bro.
And then more people joining in. So very quickly. Yeah, the white cat. Yes.
Same
So
brush, a pencil brush.
Yes. So you notice how I progress from one corner to the next. Now you see the head and the neck as one, right? So one line enough already,
No, she will.
right? So I already know the essence of the shape. So without looking, so So drawing a crowd figure smaller, you notice that, see, you get the movement, right? So this is the planning that I do myself here. So when I draw a person like this angle, the next one I'll try to use another one with the opposite angle. The other one shift a little bit, this one straight. So it gives you that, when you look at a picture like this, the whole picture move, right? But it's not like everyone is like this. So that's a challenge that we should have for ourselves. Then most of the time I would also paint it like this. I don't fill it all black. I leave the seam as white, right? So the audience get the idea of the form. And then you notice that all the shapes are different, right? Angle, some with the shoulder overlapping the chin, some with the shoulder slacking, some sitting straight like that. And then there's a man there with a black cap. So that's a nice inclusion as well. With the glasses, 2 lines to suggest. Make sure your jaw, your neck as one shape like this. Alright? Again, don't draw that black, the jaw one. Draw it. Keep it simple. So move our.
We can see how he adapts.
See, I don't draw the shoulder. I go for the arm because the arm actually gives you the idea of the action. Right? Then the tummy is hidden. Okay, so this is black. I will leave it as white or grey to give a little bit of contrast. Then maybe this one I painted grey. So then now you are giving the visual interest of light, dark, grey, light, dark, grey, light, dark, grey. And all the in between is all black, right? And I use the black shapes to kind of like create ambiguous space behind the people, right? So, like this. Give yourself a limit as well. Okay, it's flexible, right? You can draw the frame first. That forces you to keep everything within the frame. So you want to think about, okay, this is the end, this is the end. There's a little bit of planning, but you can also expand the frame, just like how you expand the zoom in, zoom out of the camera, right? Yeah, so keep it flexible. So there's a nice little pillar here. So I'm going to just move it, right? Just move it. Okay, and then a lot of dark shapes here. But that's not the focus. So I want to draw another lady standing in pink. So very quickly, I use I shape out the head. Right? I don't draw the head and I start to color. So when I paint out the shape, right? Yes. Do you notice that? The shape already? In this case, it's a sleeveless. Get the angle of the arm. You move already, right? I have to move. It's always whenever you draw someone will move. It's the Murphy's law of drawing. Right? But the arm gives you the anticipation, right? Oh, she's going to do something, right? Okay. So that completes it. Okay, so how to complete this? Don't crop like this. It's not wrong to crop. Actually, even when I draw a line, it's not wrong, right? It's quite nicely done. But also sometimes leave a bit of space to complete your chair. Then crop like this, so that there's a ground, right? So when you complete your drawing, you can kind of like draw this is your right. This is your vanishing point, right? Perspective, which is here. Draw that. Suggest a little bit of the grid line like this. Then it gets bigger and bigger. So that also enhances the depth line. So boring to draw legs of the chair. I will just paint in between the chair to suggest the legs on this. So the whole process of drawing is always to find out, so how can I keep it simple? How can I find another way of representing whatever that I'm seeing? So this lady here, always complete your legs.
I hope everybody's having fun. And just a time check here, we are 15 minutes away to closing our session 2. So instructors, we have 15 minutes more before you wrap up.
Okay, keep all this simple because the focus is here. Right? If you draw a lot more detail, right, then it gets distracting. So keep it simple, maybe just the negative spaces here and there. So now that I've captured the people, it's time to relax and draw inanimate objects to get a better sense of place. Yes, platinum carbon is here. So it's very black.
Yeah. That's so weird.
Alright, then maybe a gray at the back. So once I put in the gray at the back, right, your eyes automatically focus on the people, and of course red is always a dark mid-tone. So a sketch is not a complete finished illustration, right? It's always getting some spontaneous response to whatever that you see, and always keep in mind to have that quality of movement, randomness, action in your drawing. All right, that's it. Thank you. A very simple demonstration.
Yeah.
Can you check this?
So Don, if sketch is not the finished work, what is? Beyond this, what do you do?
So most of the time I just leave it like this. Right, it's a response. It's that spontaneous response, immediate response to that moment. So I just leave it like this. Right. Unless I want to use it as a finished drawing, or I can create more detail. Right. Usually no. Right. Yeah, usually no.
Is that your style?
Yeah.
So
ဗီဒီယိုလေးကိုအဆုံးထိကြည့်ရှုပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့တစ်ခုခုရကိုရလိမ့်မယ်လို့အေးထင်မိပါတယ်เนาะအေးရဲ့ YouTube channel လေးကိုကြိုက်နှစ်သက်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှင် like and subscribe လေးလုပ်ထားပေးပါเนาะနောက်အသစ်တွေဘာတွေထပ်လာမလဲဆိုတာအေးနဲ့တူတူစောင့်ကြည့်ကြရအောင်ပါဒါကတော့နောက်လာမယ့်ပွဲရဲ့ QR code လေးပါเนาะစိတ်ဝင်စားလို့ရှင် register လုပ်ထားပေးပါเนาะ ကဲနောက်ဗီဒီယိုတွေမှာပြန်လဲဆုံတွေ့ကြရအောင်တတာ